You are live.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome. It's a regularly scheduled meeting of Bangor City Council. Today is Monday, September 9th, 2024. It is 7:30 p.m. We begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask our Assistant City Solicitor, Grace Timmons, to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we get to public comment tonight, we have a proclamation proclaiming September 17th, 2024 as Constitution Day and Citizenship Day. Councillor Fish.
Thank you. Bangor City Council, City of Bangor, Maine, proclamation proclaiming September 17, 2024 as Constitution Day and Citizenship Day. Whereas on September 17, 1787, the United States Constitution was signed by our founding fathers, laying the foundation for our nation's government and the principles of liberty, justice, democracy, and whereas the Constitution has served as a guiding document for over 2 centuries, ensuring the rights and freedoms of all citizens and providing a framework for a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And whereas the 237th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution in Philadelphia provides an opportunity for all Americans to realize the achievements of the framers of the Constitution and the rights, privileges, and responsibilities it affords. And whereas the strength of our nation lies in the active participation of its citizens to uphold the values enshrined in the Constitution through civic engagement and community service. And whereas we must recommit to doing the work of upholding our Constitution, defending our democracy, and building an America that is more prosperous, more equal, and more just. Now, therefore, I, Carolyn Fish, Bangor City Council, on behalf of Mayor Cara Pelletier, proclaim today is on the 17th Constitution and Citizenship Day.
Thank you. I believe Sonia Maller is here. She's with the Daughters of the American Revolution to accept the proclamation.
I want, as regent of the Francis Dighton Williams chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution here in Bangor, which has been in existence for 127 years in our city, I'm very happy to accept this proclamation. This is the first one the city of Bangor has done recently, and we have one coming from Orono and Old Town, but it seems like they've been doing it for quite a long period. So I hope we're going to keep this up. And by the way, the whole week is Constitution Week. So, and Constitution Day is on the 17th. Thank you again very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the portion of the meeting set aside for public comment. Public comment, whether in person or on Zoom, requires you to state your name and whether you are a resident of Bangor. Inappropriate or offensive remarks may be interrupted and removed. The council chair has discretion over the time allowed for comment. Tonight we will have up to 60 minutes for public comment. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes for comment and no more. If you do not live in Bangor or own property in Bangor, please allow those who do live and own property here to have the opportunity to speak first. If you'd like to offer any comment on any item not appearing on the regular agenda, you can approach the podium. On Zoom, the public can be recognized to speak by the hand raise function or on the phone by pressing *9.
My name is Ryan Robbins. I'm a resident of Bangor. I live at 201 Hudson Avenue, also known as Bradford Commons. I'm going to be saying a few remarks that probably aren't going to make very many people happy, but I feel that they must be said. Many of you might remember me addressing this body last October regarding Code Enforcement Director Jeff Wallace's failure to inspect a $4.6 million rehab of Bradford Commons in 2021. I'm back here again to let you know that the city of Bangor has a serious problem with Mr. Wallace's qualifications and behavior. City Manager Deb Laurie was supposed to have looked into the concerns I raised about Mr. Wallace's handling of the rehab, but she didn't. In February, my father and I met with Ms. Laurie and City Solicitor David Shafchak. My father is a retired licensed professional engineer with experience inspecting buildings and managing stormwater. He couldn't be here tonight, so I'm also speaking on his behalf. We went into great detail about the code violations Mr. Wallace missed when he failed to inspect. We spent 2 hours showing building code requirements and photographs showing violations. Instead of listening to us, Ms. Laurie and Mr. Shafchak decided to ignore everything we told them. Mr. Shafchak even sent me a memo in which he proceeded to get every single one of the facts in this case wrong. He and Ms. Laurie have since refused to talk about this. On June 5th, my father and I met with Mr. Wallace and we learned some alarming things. Mr. Wallace doesn't know what a water-resistant barrier is. He doesn't know how to fasten exterior insulation or siding to a building. He doesn't believe that a building needs to have a water-resistant barrier. He revealed to us that his philosophy is that unless a building is falling down, there is no reason to be concerned about code violations that often lead to rot and health problems for occupants. He called my concerns ridiculous. He admitted that he didn't check the International Code Council evaluation service reports for any of the materials used. Checking the reports is the very essence of being a code officer when it comes to inspecting buildings. I don't know which is more disqualifying for him as a code officer, his ignorance of the code and basic construction principles, or his behavior. He caused a scene in front of my neighbors. He yelled, he ranted, he blamed me for his failure to inspect. He blamed a retired building inspector that he said he covered for. He was belligerent, he was hostile, he was completely unprofessional. He tried to pull siding off my building with his bare hands. He actually asked why he should have read the ICC evaluation reports for the rehab. I don't have enough time to go beyond skimming the surface here tonight. I followed up our June 5th meeting with a point-by-point breakdown of what he doesn't understand. I sent a copy to Ms. Laurie and Mr. Shafchak. They would rather pretend none of this happened. There must be accountability. It is inexcusable for a code officer to represent the city in the way Mr. Wallace does. I guess those of us who rent are second-class citizens and destined to live in substandard housing. I invite the public to go to tinyurl.com/codeofficer. That's tinyurl.com/codeofficer.
Sir, your time is up, please finish.
There you can listen to how Mr. Wallace treats the citizens of Bangor. And I will be following up with you guys later. Thank you.
Well, my name is James Plee. I own business property downtown, illegally, and I'd just like to talk a minute about the destruction of Pickering Square. It's been sad. You know, that was one of John Fowler's last designs before he retired.
I'm sorry, sir, it's disruptive to have your
Oh,
dog
Patty,
walking
Patty,
around
come.
back here.
I'm sorry.
Is he a service animal?
Huh?
Is the dog a service animal?
Yes, he is. I got the
Okay,
papers in my pocket and everything.
thank you.
Going around the other way.
He does seem like a very good boy.
You know, John did a good job guiding the city through urban renewal and everything. That was 125 years ago. 25 years later, they're destructing Pickering Square parking down there a lot. And the garage was in good shape. You had a waiting room, you had bathrooms, but the manager of the parking garage would close the bathrooms because there was a mess or something happened. I'm across the street, you wouldn't know how many people I let use my bathrooms. They do this for 2 weeks at a time. I met with Ann, Economic Development, talking about it one time. I said, you close down your bathrooms for 2 weeks at a time anyways? And she says, no. And I said, well, he did. And he was one of the advocates to get it out of there. You didn't need that mausoleum you got in front of me right now, believe me. I don't know if the city just didn't want, because they weren't gonna get the $4 million and let it go by, but it's definitely distracted me, and I have to say a few things about it, because to see what it is in the events that we don't have down there anymore. That was the Central Park of Bangor, Maine. Now we're looking at terrible. But, and as far as, you should look into the manager of the parking, because he's the one that did it all. And a new company took it over, and he's still the manager, Pat Clements. He's the guy that put the structure down, and the other thing he did, one day I'm going in there, and the ladies told me we got a new contract. Buddy's not allowed in here anymore. And he's a service dog, I got everything in, and I told her that, but I won't go against him. And I called corporate, that was his words, not corporate. So that's the guy you got managing your parking in the city of Bangor, you should look into him. He's caused me a lot of grief, believe me. Thank you. Sorry about Buddy.
It's okay, he's a good boy.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.
My name is Scott Party, and I'm a resident of Bangor. And I'm here to speak again about trash and waste processing. The rise in trash removal costs has put a significant financial strain on many households, especially those with limited incomes. And I'm talking about, of course, the additional cans and leaving your lid up this much, etc. This increase has also affected local businesses which are already struggling due to ongoing economic challenges. It is essential to find a balance between providing efficient waste management services and ensuring affordability for residents and businesses. This rise is directly related to the trash plant in Hamden that is not operational. I sent you all an email 2 weeks ago, and I hope you've had a chance to read it. I'm going to read some highlighted items here. I've also attached the email and other things that I sent you last week. This is from the meeting of it was minutes dated 7/24 of 2024 from the MRC board meeting. The project timeline presented by Mr. Condella, who's the CFO of Innovative Resources, noted final design of the major equipment expected in the later half of 2024. Final design? This plant was supposed to be up and running years ago and designed. The substantial down payments are slated for the Q4 of 2024. Mr. Condella reported detailed engineering will continue on the pre-treatment system and anaerobic digesting system. The installation of the equipment is expected to occur throughout 2025. So they're reinstalling new equipment. We're paying for all this, with a plan for bringing the waste and ramping up facility operations by the end of 2025. As the operating plans change, the permits will need to be modified as well. Now I'm going, I'm just aghast at some of this, and I sent a letter and I put it in there last week, and I got an answer from Michael Carroll, who's the executive director of the MRC, and he wrote, I asked about a backup plan. So the MRC backup plan is to oversee every step of this 115 community voices and regulatory authorities guiding us every step of the way. Our backup plan is the same as our current plan. So there is no backup plan for trash disposal. And we really, I'm asking you, please look at this before it's too late. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tyler Shanahan. I reside in Bangor. This is part 11 of Overdose Prevention Centers. Just to recap, these are facilities that offer a stigma-free environment and focus on harm reduction. And OPC is where people who use drugs can go to use pre-acquired substances under the supervision of trained and capable staff. OPCs save lives because there is trained staff there to respond. They are able to reverse the effects of the overdose in a safe, effective way. There have been no drug overdose deaths reported from any OPCs currently operating. OPCs reduce Public drug use gives people who use drugs a safe, clean place to consume their substance of choice, free of judgment. It also lowers community and healthcare costs and reduces the amount of calls to emergency medical services. This connects people to treatment, helps individuals access the care and support they need, which can lead to improved health outcomes and a pathway to recovery. Overdose prevention centers improve community health. This lowers the risk of infection by providing people who use drugs with sanitary space to use and clean supplies. This also removes the need to share needles, cookers, water, and other drug consumption products, reducing the transmission rate of infectious diseases. And I will be back in a couple weeks to share part 12. Thank you.
My name's Hillary Simmons and I live on the Tree Streets. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but as I'm sitting here watching all of the other citizens of Bangor speak tonight, I sit and watch numerous city council members looking at paperwork and not paying attention to your taxpayers. They're coming here and talking to you about concerns that they have, and everybody is shuffling paper, signing information, and I am just appalled by it. It's disappointing that you're not taking the time to listen to the citizens that vote for you and put you in this position. That's all I have
Excuse
to
me,
say.
thank you. Two things can be true. I have been listening along as I sign, and I know that Scott talked about the trash plant. Shanahan talked about the overdose prevention centers, which I'm already on board with. We had the guy from the tavern talking about his issues with the parking director. We had Ryan Robbins talking about his concerns with Jeff Wallace. I can do two things at once. So please do not take me signing these documents as me not paying attention. I am able to.
I guess I should say that it's disrespectful. when
If you're not at the
someone is
microphone,
Look, when somebody is speaking, to have eye contact and have them believe that you're really paying attention. That's
I would also like to point out that some of our speakers tonight gave us things to read, and so me looking down is not an indication that I'm not listening. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak tonight?
My name is Justin Cartier. I'm a candidate for House District 23 on the east side of Bangor. I want to point out that the N95 mask you're wearing, OSHA considers a respirator, and as such, employees can only wear it for 45 minutes per hour before they need to remove it for uninterrupted 15-minute break. Just want to point that out. The outhouses now have residents. There's currently one sleeping in the one on Broad Street. I know you're working to bring those up to ADA compliance, and I really look forward to them getting there. We should probably look into them meeting OSHA compliance as well, because as you stated, they are outhouses for the entire city of Bangor, including the employees, which they will need to be brought to OSHA compliance, which I'm sure you've already looked into. But that wasn't what I wanted to speak about tonight. What I want to speak about is that we live in a constitutional republic, not a democracy. The writers of the Constitution were anxious to safeguard liberty against a dictatorship, a monarchy they called it. The main reason was to protect against democracy. Edmund Randolph, a delegate to the Constitutional Convention from Virginia, said that the general object of the convention was to provide for a cure of the follies and fury of democracy. Eldridge Gary from Massachusetts and Roger Sherman from Connecticut urged to create a system to eliminate the evils that flow from the excess of democracy. Alexander Hamilton, delegate from New York: we are now forming a Republican government. Real liberty is not found in democracy. If we incline to too much democracy, then we will shoot into a monarchy. John Adams, one of the giants of the Revolutionary period, said democracy will envy all, contend with all, endeavor to pull down all. And when by chance it gets the upper hand for a short time, democracy will be revengeful, bloody, and cruel. We pledge allegiance to the republic for which our flag stands, not to democracy. Constitution requires a republican form of government for all states, but the Constitution does not once mention democracy, nor does the Declaration of Independence. Democracy is a political system in which people periodically by majority vote at the polls select their rulers. The rulers then have absolute power to make laws they please by majority vote amongst themselves. In a constitutional republic, you also periodically by majority vote elect the rulers who make laws in a majority vote among themselves. The rulers, however, cannot make any laws they please because the Constitution limits their lawmaking power. The ideal of democracy is universal equality. We hear a lot of that lately, but a constitutional republic is individual liberty, the liberties of each and every one of us. Great strides have been made to transform our republic into a democracy. The foremost tactic of subversion is of language. By calling America a democracy until people thoughtlessly accept and use the term, totalitarians have obscured the real meaning of American principles of government. Thank you.
I think there are plenty of appropriate things to speak about at city council meetings. My choice to wear a mask is not one of them. And I will not
When you're an
be,
employee of the city of Bangor and it's regulated by OSHA because.
sir,
it's
you're not at the
considered
mic
operating-
and your turn is up.
I'm sorry, you were speaking directly at me, so I was returning you your.
What I'm saying is that what councilors choose to wear or not to wear, whether it's for fashion or to protect themselves, is
When it's
not an
regulated
appropriate.
by OSHA.
You're done.
We're not
Thank you.
employees, thank you.
Employees of the city of Bangor.
We are not.
I stand corrected.
Is there anyone else in the room wishing to speak?
Hello, my name is Tamara Benson, and I live in Old Town, but I work in Bangor, and I care a lot about Bangor. I am here to talk about the encampment. As you have emphasized before, this is the year of housing for Bangor, and we're grateful that all that the council has done to implement housing solutions this year. My friend Doug and I would like to bring to your attention a paper released in April of 2024 by the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness, outlining 19 strategies for communities to address encampments humanely and effectively. For Bangor, Maine, using evidence-based and compassion-driven strategies to address homeless encampments is crucial to ensure effective, humane treatment of individuals, promote long-term solutions, and foster community support, ultimately improving the well-being of those affected and the overall health of the city. The research has already been done for us, and now it's time to implement the research-based strategies. The U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness is an independent federal agency within the U.S. executive branch that leads the implementation of the federal strategic plan to prevent and end homelessness. A quote from their website states that it is the only federal agency with the sole mission of preventing and ending homelessness in America. This paper is so crucial, and all of you should read it before making any more decisions about how to deal with the homeless encampments in Bangor. My friend Doug has already shared it with all of you. I'm going to share more copies of it today. It offers a comprehensive guide for managing homeless encampments with the emphasis on humane and practical solutions. The strategies balance immediate relief with long-term solutions and stress collaboration, respect, and evidence-based approaches. If you'd like to read the paper yourself, I'll be handing out 3 copies, and it's also been emailed to all of you. But here's a brief summary of the 19 strategies outlined. And I'm not going to finish all of these because I'm a slow reader, but Doug will finish them. 1, prevention and early intervention. The paper underscores the importance of preventing encampments by identifying at-risk individuals early and providing support to prevent housing loss. 2, coordinated outreach. Effective outreach teams should engage with people in encampments, offering tailored resources and building trust to connect them with services. 3, comprehensive services. Addressing encampment needs, oh my goodness, sorry, I'm dyslexic. Addressing encampment needs requires a holistic approach, including mental health care, substance abuse treatment, job training, and permanent housing solutions. Doug will continue with number 4.
So I'm Doug, I live in Herman, and I know most or all of you. And you were emailed this, and you probably have already received it through other people. I just wanted to point out a couple of things. I won't go through the other strategies, but hopefully, if anyone's listening out there in the world, Google Bangor City Council Government Operations Committee meeting from last Wednesday, the 4th, and you'll hear statistics, data from Maine Housing regarding homelessness in Bangor and this region. Hub 7 is Penobscot and Piscataquis counties, and you heard that right now there are between 500 and 600 people who are considered unhoused in Hub 7. And some of you said, which is correct, that Hub 7 isn't just Bangor, and it isn't just Penobscot County, but it primarily is. And that's really important to know, that there are hundreds of individuals who are unhoused in Bangor right now, and those are just the people who have been counted. And frankly, data is not the problem. I know we need more data, we need better data, but we have all kinds of data. And I've been encouraging Jennifer Weatherby, our terrific Hub 7 coordinator, to come to the Bangor City Council for months now and express or explain the extent to which people are unhoused. And Carolyn, I know you've asked, where do they come from? You've asked it over and over and over again. And I know you're going to get the last known zip code for the people to see where they came from. But when you get out and talk to folks, as I hope you all do, who are unhoused, you'll learn that a lot of people come here because they already have support systems in this area. Or they lived here, grew up here, moved away, and came back. So when you look at zip codes from the last known address, don't assume that the person has no connection to Bangor, or hasn't lived here, or is just someone coming here because we offer whatever we offer. I know you'll read, and I hope you'll have an education session with Jenna, maybe Jen Gunderman, because this is the research. These are the best practices. And frankly, we are either ignoring or falling far short. This is what we should be doing, and we're not doing it. And one thing out of decency we could do, and it's recommendation number 10, put a damn bathroom at the encampment so that people have a place to go to the bathroom. We don't even have the decency, and I know you're thinking, oh, we've tried it. We don't give up. It's not rocket science. Put a bathroom at the encampment. Thanks. Thank you, Bert.
Is there anyone else who has not spoken yet? Seeing no hands on Zoom, we'll move to the consent agenda.
Minutes of Bangor City Council meeting of August 26, 2024, Finance Committee meetings of August 19th, 2024, and September 4th, 2024, Government Operations Committee meeting of August 5th, 2024, Infrastructure Committee meeting of August 19th, 2024, and Business and Economic Development Committee meeting of August 19th, 2024. Liquor license renewals, application for liquor license renewal, malt wine spirits of 81 Park Street LLC, doing business as the Tarotine, 81 Park Street. Application for liquor license renewal, malt wine spirits of Las Palapas Mexican Restaurant LLC, doing business as Las Palapas, 8 Bangor Mall Boulevard. Application for liquor license renewal, malt wine of Some Theater Company LLC, doing business as Some Theater Company, 557 Stillwater Avenue. Application for liquor license renewal, malt wine spirits of Jerry Bangor Holiday Inn, Holiday Inc., doing business as Holiday Inn, 404 Audlin Road. Application for liquor license renewal, malt wine spirits of the Main Tavern, doing business as the Main Tavern, 152 Main Street. Application for liquor license renewal, malt wine spirits of Pepper Dining, Inc., doing business as Chili's Grill and Bar, 638 Stillwater Avenue. Application for liquor license renewal, malt wine spirits of GMRI, Inc., doing business as the Olive Garden Italian Restaurant, number 1430, 741 Hogan Road. 24-266 order authorizing the execution of a municipal quitclaim deed for real estate located at 40 17th Street. 24-267 order authorizing the city manager to apply for a Bangor Breakfast Rotary grant to assist with funding for a prenatal and postpartum support group. 24-268 order authorizing the city manager to apply for a $10,000 Maine Community Connections Program grant to fund improvements to Prentice Woods. 24-269 order authorizing the city manager to apply for $1,231,588 through the Maine Continuum of Care Notification of Funding Opportunity for City of Bangor Rental Assistance Program. 24-270 order authorizing the city manager to execute a domestic carrier agreement and lease with Allegiant Air LLC. 24-271 order authorizing the city manager to execute a domestic carrier agreement and lease with American Airlines, Inc. 24-272 order authorizing the city manager to execute a domestic carrier agreement and lease with Breeze Airways. 24-273 order authorizing the city manager to execute a domestic carrier agreement and lease with Delta Airlines, Inc. 24-274 order authorizing the city manager to execute a domestic carrier agreement and lease with United Airlines, Inc. 24-275 order authorizing the city manager to execute a revised memorandum of understanding with Maine Mental Health Connections Together Place Peer Run Recovery Center to receive up to $50,000 from the State of Maine Overdose Response Pilot Grant. 24-276 order authorizing the city manager to apply for $8,000 in 2025 Enforcing Underage Drinking Laws, EUDL, grant funding through Derigo Safety LLC for the Police Department. 24-277 order authorizing execution of a contract with WatchGuard for the Police Department body-worn camera and in-car camera systems. 24-278 order authorizing settlement of workers' compensation claim. Move passage of the consent agenda?
Second. Thank you. We have a motion, we have a second. Is there an item on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Item number, my name is Wayne Mallett. Item number 24-269. Shelter Care Plus, the old program. It keeps referring to Live in Bangor and other communities in Penobscot County. I'm curious as to what percentage of the residents of Bangor County yet to take advantage of this program. As I last remember some years ago when we talked about this, that someone from Millinocket, if they found a place to live, and we're sponsoring the program, we would be sending our code enforcement up to inspect the building and handle it. I don't remember that we got reimbursements for it. I'd also know what percentage of the grant goes for reimbursement, because this looks like a empire building program that Sean Yardley started. I really question the need of it. And I don't believe there are any other cities in the state. Portland used to do it, but I don't think there's anyone here now that is doing it. My information's old, so I can't guarantee it. I understand also that CHCS does it here in Bangor also, so we're competing with another group for this service. I'm concerned 6 families are going to be benefited from this and 106 individuals. But I don't know where they're coming from, and I'm just curious. Why are we providing such support for other towns? Other towns have welfare departments, other towns have the ability to apply for services for their constituents. I think it's time we took care of our own for a change.
Amen.
So I don't think we should. I don't have any problem with applying for the grant, but I think you have to question accepting it if you get it, because I don't know how much it's actually costing us to do this program, other than what we're receiving from the grant money. It looks like we're spending more than we get.
Councilors, any questions or comments on this issue? Yes.
So I can share, I have just enough information to answer some of the questions raised. So what this actually is this is an allocation of federal housing vouchers. And yes, it's true, those federal housing vouchers, I was looking through my emails to see if I could find the most recent allocation that came from HUD. And true, those vouchers can be utilized anywhere in the state. And what has happened is through the changes that are taking place at the state level, all of those resources are now being directed through coordinated entry and the hub system. So it used to be R1, we had an employee who helped to facilitate, find landlords, and help folks get into units. And we have been very successful with that, I think. I think we've housed, there have been a handful of units, to your point, they're outside of Bangor proper. And yes, part of the requirement for the funding is that the unit has to pass a housing quality standards inspection, which is a requirement of the HUD funds. And yes, at times, our code officers have left the city of Bangor to perform those inspections. The vast majority are in Bangor. I can certainly work with the public health director to bring back sort of a recap of the last year that will also include the other. There are, to your point too, I'm not sure if there's still, it ended up there, it used to be initially like 3 different continuum of cares in the state, and then it shrunk to 1. So the vast majority of vouchers are what are known as balance of state through this program. But we'll bring it back to a committee and get you more information.
Thank you. No, sir, you've had a chance. Please have a seat. Any other questions or discussion from council? Councilor Fish.
City Manager, these funds don't have a mandate that we have to use them for people that are not residents. Is there a mandate of a certain percentage of the funds? So the majority of them typically are used for Bangor residents?
Yes, the majority of them are. I will say that the majority, I don't think we've ever taken a step back to what an individual talked about earlier. We've never taken a step back to what was the individuals who was assisted, what was their prior zip code, if you will, to kind of tie those two things together. What we know is they've come through the programs locally where an individual is unsheltered. And that is how the applications and the vouchers have been awarded.
Thank you.
Other questions or discussion from the council? Seeing no objection, consent agenda has passage. Referrals to committee and first reading.
24-279, ordinance amending Chapter 165 Land Development Code by removing and rewording sections of the code to align with the Maine state statutes for the regulation of manufactured housing. First reading and referral to planning board meeting on September 17, 2024. 24-280, resolve accepting and appropriating an airport improvement grant, AIG, under the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, BIL, program in the amount of $8,125,342 from the FAA and $451,408 from MDOT for the rehabilitation of runway 1533 at Bangor International Airport, BGR, first reading. 24-281, resolve authorizing the city manager to accept and appropriate $254,000 for a 2-year Maine CDC grant, Maine's project to prevent prescription drug opioid overdose related deaths in Penobscot County. First reading and referral to Finance Committee, meeting on September 16th, 2024. 24-282, resolve authorizing the city manager to appropriate Airport Improvement Program number 87 entitlement grant funds in the amount of $15,285,000 from the Federal Aviation Administration and $1,083,222 from Maine Department of Transportation for the rehabilitation of runway 1533 at Bangor International Airport. first reading. Move these items be referred.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion, we have a second. Questions or comments? Items are referred. Unfinished business.
24-247, order authorizing contract with Artifacts Architects and Engineers for design services for the Cold Bus Barn Storage Facility Project in the amount of $612,419. Councilor Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Move passage on 24-247.
Second.
This order authorizes the Finance Director to execute a contract with Artifacts Architects and Engineers for design services for the Cold Bus Barn Storage Facility Project. On June 26, 2024, the city received 3 responsive proposals for the design services from AECOM, Artifacts Architects and Engineers, and Paul Designs Project. In compliance with federal transit administration funding requirements, the design services award was based on the qualification of the bidder without consideration of the cost. The proposals were reviewed by a committee consisting of city staff and a representative from BACS, who selected Artifacts as the most qualified bidder. Upon selection, their pricing proposal was reviewed and a cost of $612,419 was agreed to. This cost is under the anticipated design services for the project.
Thank you, Councilor Leonard. We have a motion, we have a second. Comments or discussion on this item? Seeing none, 24-247 has passage. Next item.
24-259, ordinance amending the code of the city of Bangor by changing the licensing requirements for co-living dormitories. Councilor Schaefer. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move passage of ordinance 24-259.
Second.
This ordinance would amend the code of the city of Bangor by changing the licensing requirements for co-living dormitories. The proposed changes would update the city's code of ordinances to exempt co-living dormitories from the city's short-term rental requirements and would change the licensing requirements from a combination of short-term rental and business licensing to only innkeeper's licensing. Due to the limits outlined in the short-term rental ordinance, in order to receive a short-term rental license, a large co-living facility would be capped at 5 rooms being available for short-term stays, even if 25% of the overall units would be more than 5 rooms. If requiring an innkeeper's license for a co-living dormitory would ensure the cap of 25% of the rooms being used for short-term rentals is maintained, it would help reduce confusion related to the process for developers and city staff. It would also ensure that this unique use is able to function as the original ordinance intended. This item was reviewed and unanimously recommended by the planning board at its meeting on September 3rd, 2024.
Thank you, Councilor Schaefer. We have a motion, we have a second. Discussion on this item? Roll call vote.
Councilor Dean?
Yes.
Councilor Fish?
Yes.
Councilor Fournier?
Yes.
Councilor Hawes?
Yes.
Councilor Leonard?
Yes.
Councilor Schaefer? Yes. Councilor Trumbull?
Yes.
Councilor Yakabaga?
Yes.
Councilor Pelletier?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. 24-259 has passage. Next item.
24-260, ordinance amending Chapter 165 Land Development Code District Map to rezone a portion of a property located on Stillwater Avenue from Urban Residence 1 District, URD1, to Government and Institutional Service District, GNISD. Councilor Fish.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move for passage of ordinance 24-260.
Second.
This ordinance would amend the Land Development Code District Map to rezone a portion of the property at map lot R56-003-A, located on Stillwater Avenue from Urban Residence 1 District, URD-1, to Government and Industrial Service, G and ISD. The area proposed to be changed is approximately 3.7 acres of the total 13.73. The parcel also includes the Park and Open Space District, P&O, near Taylor and Field, and the Government and Institutional Service District, G and ISD, encompassing Acadia Hospital. The applicant and owner of record is Acadia Hospital Corp. This area is within the growth boundary shown in the 2022 comprehensive plan and the future land use map, and the plan shows this property to be an urban neighborhood area which consists of medium to high density residential neighborhoods surrounding the downtown, with limited commercial and institutional uses that are complementary to the surrounding land uses. The land uses around the property consist of low to medium density residential to the south and the west of I-95 to the north, and institutional and high-density residential and commercial uses to the east. The Planning Division finds the proposed change to be in alignment with the 2022 Comprehensive Plan. This item was reviewed and unanimously recommended by the Planning Board at its meeting on September 3rd, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Fish. We have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion on this item? Roll call vote.
Councillor Dean?
Yes.
Councillor Fish?
Yes.
Councillor Fournier?
Yes.
Councillor Hawes?
Yes.
Councillor Leonard?
Yes.
Councillor Schaefer? Yes. Councillor Trumbull?
Yes.
Councillor Yakobaga?
Yes.
Councillor Pelletier?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Item 24-260 has passage. New business.
Public hearing, application for special amusement license renewal of Global Spectrum LP, doing business as Cross Insurance Center, 515 Main Street. Councillor Hawes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I would move to open the public hearing for the application of special amusement license renewal of Global Spectrum LP, doing business as Cross Insurance Center. Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Public hearing is open.
Seeing no one approach, I would move to close the public hearing.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Public hearing is closed.
I would move passage of the application for special amusement license renewal of Global Spectrum LP, doing business as Cross Insurance Center, 515 Main Street. Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Seeing no doubt, the item has passage.
Public hearing, application for special amusement license renewal of the Main Tavern, Inc., doing business as the Main Tavern, Inc., 152 Main Street. Councillor Hawes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I would move to open the public hearing for the special amusement license renewal of the Main Tavern, Inc., doing business as the Main Tavern.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Public hearing is open.
Seeing no one approach, I would move to close the public hearing.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Public hearing is closed.
I would move passage of the application for special amusement license renewal of the Main Tavern, Inc., doing business as the Main Tavern, Inc., 152 Main Street.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Questions or discussion? Seeing no doubt, the item has passage.
Liquor license renewal, application for liquor license renewal, malt wine spirits of Lisa J. Leonard, doing business as Evan Roots, 25 Broad Street. Councillor Hawes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I would move passage for liquor license renewal, malt wine spirits of Lisa J. Leonard, doing business as Evan Roots, 25 Broad Street.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion, we have a second. Just to note, Councillor Leonard has a conflict, so has left the room. Councillor Trumbull, that was the note. Very good. Questions or discussion on this item? Seeing no doubt, the liquor license is renewed. Next item.
24-283, order authorizing amendment to Bangor Symphony Orchestra's state and local fiscal recovery funds award as to location of improvements. Councillor Dean.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This order will authorize an amendment to the Bangor Symphony Orchestra's state and local fiscal recovery funds, aka ARPA, award as to the location of the improvements as originally authorized by Council Order 23-251, dated August 14, 2023. The original award was to provide for capital and fit-out costs, stage lighting, technology, signage, tables, chairs, etc., associated with the relocation of the Bangor Arts Exchange. The Bangor Symphony Orchestra recently suspended operation of the Bangor Arts Exchange and would like to pursue the opportunity for similar investments at the Cross Insurance Center to allow for presentation at this location. I move passage of Council Order 24-283.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Dean. We have a motion, we have a second. Questions or discussion on this item? Please approach.
In the original disbursement or the original approval of Bangor Symphony's use of opera money, were there other people competing for the same money? I mean, I find it strange that someone can come in and apply for a program and you approve it. That's great, I have no issue with that. But then when they decide, gee, we don't want to do it in place A, we want to do it in place B, that kind of changes what you awarded. So don't you have to kind of open that up so other people may want to participate in this program? Just seems to me it's, the shell game. I'm asking for one thing, but I'm going to do something else with it. And I don't think that's what you're
They didn't change their mind. The building was sold and the business owner took away the option for them to do that there.
So they don't, you don't know what the program they presented to you is not the program they want to do now, so you've never seen the new program.
It's the same material, stage lighting, things like that. It's just the materials are gonna be situated in one place and not the other. There's not a dramatic change in the allocation.
But we don't see that in writing. I'm a skeptic. I don't believe what I read when it says they're gonna take everything there. I don't think you can have two buildings that are so identical that you're not going to make a change when you go to the second building. Does the Cross Center have chairs and tables? Maybe they do that they're gonna use, so they don't need to buy them. It just doesn't fit right for me. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? Seeing none, 24-283 has passage. Next item.
24-284, order authorizing amendment to Habitat for Humanity Greater Bangor's State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds Award as to eligible uses related to the creation of affordable single-family homes. Councilor Fournier.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for order 24-284.
Second.
This order will authorize an amendment to Habitat for Humanity's Greater Bangor State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, aka ARPA, award as to the allowable usage of funds related to the creation of affordable single-family homes in Bangor as originally authorized by Council Order 23-252, dated August 14th, 2023. The original application came forward to meet the eligibility requirements to access Maine State Housing Authority grant funds and represented this shift in their historical model of completing one home at a time. With the current market conditions and the lack of additional state grant funds, in order to take advantage of opportunities to develop affordable single-family homes in Bangor, Habitat for Humanity Greater Bangor has requested an amendment to the eligible uses within the original award. The request to amend eligible uses would allow for the acquisition of land and real property acquisition for either new construction or rehabilitation that result in the creation of affordable single-family homes in Bangor. This was reviewed at a City Council workshop on August 26, 2024.
Thank you, Councilor Fournier. We have a motion, we have a second. Any questions or discussion on this item? 24-284 has passage. Next item.
24-285, order authorizing the city manager to apply for $400,000 in 2024 Maine State Housing Authority grant funds for long-term solutions to assist people experiencing homelessness. Councilor Hawes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This order would authorize the city manager to apply for grant funds through the Maine State Housing Authority in the amount of $400,000 with no required local match. The grant focus is to find long-term solutions to assist people experiencing homelessness. If approved, the city would be looking to establish a housing navigator and stabilization pilot program. This pilot program would augment the city's current and proposed programs, such as our permanent supportive housing specialist, homeless outreach caseworker, rental registry's quality housing provider program, and our recent eviction protection grant application, as well as provide the necessary support to allow outreach workers to perform their intended role. The pilot program would include a new city employee position and help facilitate the appropriate and timely distribution of local resources. It will also include funding for assistance with document acquisition such as IDs and birth certificates, application fees, transportation, basic housing furnishings, moving services, and discretionary funding to assist with the remaining housed. This item was reviewed and recommended for approval at the Government Operations Committee meeting on September 4, 2024. I would move passage of order 24-285.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. We have a motion, we have a second. Any additional discussion on this item? 24-285 has passage. Last item.
24-286, order authorizing the city manager to accept Airport Improvement Program number 87 entitlement grant funds in the amount of $15,285,000 from the Federal Aviation Administration and $1,083,222 from Maine Department of Transportation for the rehabilitation of runway 1533 at Bangor International Airport. Councilor Trumbull.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Chair, I move for passage of order 24-286.
Second.
This will authorize the city manager to accept Airport Improvement Program number 87 entitlement grant funds of $15,285,000 from the FAA and $1,083,222 from Maine Department of Transportation for the rehabilitation of runway 15-33 at Bangor International Airport. This project was approved for funding by the FAA and by MDOT in May of 2024 under the airport's 5-year capital improvement plan. The city's local share would be $1,083,222. As the AIP program is an entitlement program, the federal and state funds were approved for this project earlier this year, but not officially awarded. As a result, the contract has already been executed with Northeast Paving in order to commence with the construction at the beginning of this year's construction season. This order will authorize the city manager to officially accept these funds by the FAA deadline of September 16th.
Thank you, Councilor Trumbull. We have a motion and a second on this item. Questions or discussion? Seeing none, 24-286 has passage. Brings us to the end of the regular agenda. Any comments from staff? Thank you. Final comments from council. Councilor Dean.
Good night, Bangor.
Councilor Schaefer.
I just wanted to say, I like to point out that housing is boring, and the details in housing are not like, hey, we just built 4,000 new houses and everyone's housed. But just tonight, we had, in the boring stuff, allowing manufactured homes basically in more places. That was one of the things we voted on. Applying for a grant to get a homeless navigator to help people find housing. Accepting the federal grants of Shelter Plus Care. And amending our award that we have already invested in, which is for a Habitat for Humanity. I can't read my handwriting, there might have been another one. But all those things are things that help housing, and it's not as beautiful as 40 new townhomes or something, but all these little things help move housing, move us closer to our goal of getting folks housed. And I like to point that out. School's back in session, watch out for pedestrians. We're getting the crosswalks as fast as we can, I'm pretty sure, and hopefully more of them will be finished soon. Thank you, good night.
Councilor Fournier.
Good night.
Councilor Leonard.
Have a good night, everybody.
Councilor Trumbull.
I just want to note how smooth things went tonight with no parliamentary procedure issues at all that we had to call on the city's assistant city solicitor for. It was a very smooth process tonight, great. So thank you very much. Good night.
Councilor Yakabaga.
Good night.
Councilor Haas.
Good night.
Councilor Fish.
Good night.
Good night for me.